Hello there, my English 200 Introduction to Literature class. I regret not being able to meet with you in class today. However, we've got a great lesson that hopefully you'll have some fun with. You guys are going to get a chance to play movie critic. This should be fun because you'll get a chance to watch a movie. As you can remember, we talked about quite extensively, and we also had some of this on our midterm exam. The 5 elements of literature are plot, setting, theme, character, point of view. And that pertains to literature, mainly fiction literature. And also remember the call to adventure, or the hero's journey, and the various facets that goes with that. Call to adventure, exit threshold, road of trials, abyss, transformation, and return your threshold, and everything's back to normal for the protagonist rather. We also remember that in most stories, most fictional stories, there is a certain plot, and that plot follows exposition and arising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. And to be sure, documentaries have some of those factors that we just talked about, but not all. The documentary, I'm sure many of you have seen them. It's no big mystery as to what they are. They generally take a subject and they investigate it a lot further than can be done in a normal movie, or maybe a sitcom or something like that. Documentaries have become increasingly popular, and they have also become more significant voices in the media. Students in many fields, not only film and video students, but students in sociology, political science, international affairs, and law, now aspire to make documentaries. As a matter of fact, for my PhD dissertation, I plan on putting a documentary together. So what is a documentary? A documentary films are non-fiction motion pictures that describe some real-life issue or subject. They can be made both for broadcast on television and for showing in movie theaters. And documentaries can provide an objective description of something or a polemic argument in favor of a particular viewpoint. Examples of documentary films include wildlife documentaries and historical documentaries. Let's take a look at this little video that talks a little bit about documentaries. Although they're talking more about setting them your own documentaries, which we may have a chance to do later on. But let's just see what their opinion is about documentaries.
Want to change the world? Or maybe just tell a truth that no one knows? Send us a DIY doc. Do it yourself? Documentary. But what is a documentary?
Wow, I've never even thought of that question. What is a documentary?
I thought you would know.
It's been increasingly difficult to define documentary, and I think that's a good thing. I think a documentary is a subjective treatment of reality.
I think first and foremost, a documentary is a story. It's something that's true, it's something that's real, it's something that you find interesting, and it's real life.
It's not scripted material, but it is. You script an idea. You script an intention. You even think about locations that you may be filming in. You kind of set up the parameters, but you're not writing the dialogue that happens inside or where the scene's going to go. The form itself is something where all the best stories exist.
What isn't a documentary?
What is not a documentary is something that doesn't answer any questions, that doesn't ask any questions, that doesn't tell a story from start to finish. If you are just sort of talking about your day, that's not a documentary. But if you find a creative way to tell that story, that is a documentary.
The definition of a documentary is surprisingly elastic, but all you have to do is remember to tell the truth, and you can achieve that by thinking like a journalist. Be curious, ask questions, get answers, and then ask some more. Get multiple points of view, and do your research.
There used to be this very dusty traditional idea of documentary as truth, and as we become aware of the subjectivity behind the camera, and certainly then it makes us aware that we need diversity of voices behind the camera.
It's not about what gear you have. It's about the story that you have to tell. To find out more, go to tvo.org and use the hashtag TVOShortDocs.
So that video is going to inform a lesson we're going to do a little bit later on. But before we get there, I want to go back a little bit and talk about our plot structure in fiction stories. As we said, you got a beginning of a story, you got the rising action, you got the climax, you got the falling action, and then you got the resolution. However, sometimes at the end of a fiction story or a movie, you don't necessarily know what happened. It ends with a question, which is perfectly okay. In a movie, you may see at the movie theater some sort of a Western or a crime drama or what have you. But that's not the truth. That's not the case in a documentary. You got to have an ending there. However, how a documentary is like a fiction movie or even a book, you heard in the description from some of those documentaries, and that is that it tells a story. And so when you're telling a story, you can still follow the same lines in a documentary that you do in a fiction novel or movie. It's just that the information you put in there is going to be a lot different. It's going to be less dramatic, and it's going to be more as to answering a question that the documentary set out to accomplish. So, you may have seen sports documentaries or concert footage in a music video or YouTube video or a video magazine segment on a theme channel such as Home and Garden Television or 60 Minutes. These are all examples of common kinds of documentaries. However, what we're going to be dealing with is a social issue documentary. Now, don't get worried right now. You're not going to be making a documentary this minute. You're going to be watching the documentary and then commenting on it. But again, you may want to go back to that video because we will do a little bit of documentarianism later on. So a social issue documentary is one that analyzes issues affecting society, culture, and or any other issue. Now, really weird, you would think that the description and the definition would be easy to find. I couldn't find it anywhere. So this definition that I gave you was mine and mine alone. There's all types of documentaries out there, social issue documentaries. Here are some examples. This is one of my favorite. I Am Not Your Negro. I viewed that not very long ago. You got OJ Made in America. Then you've also got one here, Command and Control. It's got to deal with the nuclear competition between countries. But you've got all types of documentaries out there. Now, many of you may not watch documentaries, but that's all I watch. As a matter of fact, I love watching documentaries. So we talked about elements of fiction, which of course are, you guys should remember those: plot, setting, point of view, theme, conflict. But documentaries also have their own elements. You've got the narration, in other words, the voiceover, interviews that are being held, the location shots where the documentary is being filmed, music and sound that they use. There's always music and sound in the documentary in order to kind of get the viewer to feel some sort of emotion, just like you have in a regular movie. The graphics that they use in that documentary, and it's the same as in a fiction movie. Graphics are used to get the viewer to feel or a certain way or think a certain way. And then you've got archive footage. In other words, footage that they use from things that happened previously. So you can have a documentary that has current footage and archive footage. So the narration is the verbal description of what is happening in a documentary. I'll let you guys read this later on. It's pretty easy to know. Interviews are just the interviews that are provided in the documentary. I want you to read this on your own a little bit later also. The location shots, the music and sound, please read these also. The graphics and the archive footage, please read these also. I will post a copy of this video or accompanied lesson, and I also post a copy of the lesson without my voiceover. So you guys can take your time and read it long if you like. So here's your homework. Okay, you are going to complete this questionnaire. There's a copy of this questionnaire in Canvas for you to view. Let me see here. Let me try to get this down here a little bit. For you to view, or for you to complete. You're going to answer certain questions. What is the primary subject of the documentary? What is the foremost purpose? I want all these questions answered, by the way. What realities of issues are depicted in the documentary? Does it advocate for social change? There's every question down to 5. And then also, let's see here, if I can get this to go away. After question 5, there's a big arrow down here, but after question 5, there's more on the next page. Including in question 5, you're going to include talk about how the filmmakers use of documentary, how they use the documentary. How they use the elements of a documentary in the film. I'm moving faster because we only have 15 minutes to complete this video. So you'll talk about the elements of a documentary, the narration, the interviews, the location shots, and so on and so on. Now there's 2 parts. The first part is going to be this one. Let me see here. Let's go back here. First part is going to be this one. You're going to post the name of your chosen documentary in today's Canvas discussion by 11:45 tonight. By today I mean 3/18/19, and you'll post the answers to that analysis questionnaire by Sunday 3/24/19 at 11:45 p.m. Again, there are 2 copies of this lesson in Canvas. There's this narrated one that I'm doing, and there's also going to be a fixed one where you can go in them. And in case I missed a few lines here and there and where they didn't show up on the screen, you can go back and see them on your own. You will have to have that the name of your documentary posted in Canvas by tonight at 11:45. I want the name of the documentary. I want the date it was made, and I also want to know the name of the filmmaker. Those 3 things: the name of the documentary, the date it was made, and the name of the filmmaker. If the filmmaker was a company or a group, you can put that in there. But I want that all posted by 11:45 tonight, and then we'll see the answers to your questions posted by Sunday, March 24th, 2019 at 11:45 p.m. Okay, hopefully you guys have some fun with this. I'd advise you to. It's not a long essay. You get to watch a movie. The questions are a little bit intense, but I'm sure you'll do well with them. Until then, have a good week. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the weather. I'm going somewhere where it's cold, but I'll see you guys next Monday at 5:30 p.m. in class, and I'll see your homework before then. Thank you.